Brett Jewell from the FSU. Just kind of stepping away from football for a second. What are your first impressions of living in the Tallahassee community, and how receptive has the community been to both you and your family?
Yeah, it's been tremendous. I've always heard that there's great people here, and I've witnessed that firsthand. My family's now down here. My wife and I and my son. We're expecting another child here in July. So everything's going as smooth as can be as far as moving in and all that. But the people have been tremendous. I really enjoy living in Tallahassee, and it's great so far.
Head coach Ashley Garman, Nationals.com. Historically, FSU has been known for their defense. Do you feel like there's any sort of pressure to get it back to where it used to be?
Well, I think there's always pressure, but most of that comes from yourself as a coach, and you want it to deliver, for your team, for the defense and for these players, and just again getting back to walking in here and just seeing them, we all want more, and there'll be great pressure, but most of that's put on yourself, wanting to deliver for these kids in this program. But again, embrace the past history, and it's something we're going to strive for, to be back in the top of college football.
What do you think? I'll throw one out to you. Coach Fisher talked about the relationships in the college coaching ranks with how the fact that he worked with Bo at LSU, and how some of that played, and of course you and Bo and the Pelini boys, I guess, and the Stoops boys grew up together at Cardinal Mooney and Youngstown. You talk about that relationship and how that kind of helped played a role in bringing some of this, the opportunity together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Coach Fisher, I think as he looked, for a defensive coordinator, I think he obviously would look to some guys that he had worked with in the past, for Coach Saban and Coach Pelini and all those people. But I think what we do defensively is very similar to some of the things Bo is doing there at Nebraska, his brother Carl. But yeah, we grew up, with the Pelinis. Bo and I grew up together. We've been very close friends, practically like family, like brothers. So familiar with those guys and what they do, and it definitely probably helped get me here in certain ways.
You talked about the fresh start that kids can have when a new staff kind of comes in. Can you reflect on, you don't have to name individuals if you want, but like times where a guy maybe kind of languished and then a new staff comes in, and I mean, can that light turn on sometimes?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, things happen. I mean, players come in as young players, and sometimes maybe they get in a little bit of a doghouse, whether it be, not handling things right, whether it be off the field or academically, or on the field, things. And I believe this is a good situation in that, I think the players are ready to start over. I know as a defensive staff, we're ready to just start from the ground up. So I definitely think it can help. I know several players have talked to me and embraced the situation, and of course, they're going to have to prove themselves. Nothing's going to be given to these kids, and I think they know that. And Coach Fisher is very strong and very demanding that way, and we're going to be the same way defensively. You're going to have to earn your way. We're going to love each and every one of them and embrace each and every one of them, but they're going to have to earn their way to get playing time. One thing, that we're not entitled to anything. Just because of the past history and just because of the things that went on here, doesn't mean that we're going to roll out there with a new staff. They could run 2 or 3 or 4 defensive staffs through here, and we're going to have to earn our way. And football gets down to making plays, and we're certainly going to put them in a position to be successful and help them, play. But they've got to get down and they make the calls correct. You could call a lot of defensive plays and a lot of different calls and a lot of different schemes if the players play well. And so.
Jimbo mentioned when his official announcement ceremony that the first time he met with us, that he's going to be involved on the defense. He's not going to just focus on the offense. How is that gone so far? And I mean, is he coming to your guys' meetings? How does that relationship work?
Well, I believe, from what I've seen so far, Coach Fisher will, want to touch each and every aspect of this program and have some influence in each and every part of this program. We're going to be, we welcome that, and I welcome that. To be quite honest, it probably hasn't been enough time for him to get in there on the defensive side yet. But, he knows what he wants and the type of defense he wants. And, if we're not getting it done, then he'll be involved, and we'll adhere to that.
So can you talk about just how you interacted with players at Arizona and how you plan to interact with players here at Florida State? Maybe not even on the practice field, but away from the practice field.
Yeah, I think it's important now to have an open relationship with these players. I think they, I believe in my heart that they have to trust you, in all ways, and they have to know that you're there for them. And that's the way I'm going to be. And I'm going to be very demanding, critical of their mistakes. You have to be honest. I'm not going to always tell them what they want to hear. But you have to be honest and be direct. But I think down deep they have to know you care about them. And I think over time they'll feel that from myself. And certainly like being close to these guys when you can. Off the field. I like having my family around, having them, know my wife and my child and see my boy at practice and interact with him. And I think that's all important. I think it's important to have them over your house and have them over for dinner and just see a different side of you.
Coach, do you think with the massive struggle that the defense had last year that could actually sort of make your job a little bit easier, I want to say, in terms of bringing in a fresh philosophy and kind of just selling your philosophy to these kids and making it a little easier for them to buy into whatever it is you want them to accomplish on the field?
I think so, and I hope so. I think so because it should, and I would hope that these players would embrace that. And from what I've seen so far, they have. So, I think, again, it comes down to them having understanding and knowledge of what you're trying to do. And I think what I've done defensively, for the past, 20 years or so, just different parts, we're going to put them in position to be successful. I think they have to, want to learn. And again, from what I've seen so far, they're very eager. So I think it could be helpful.
From what we had read, you were close to just taking a head coaching position, or you were in that process. Is that still, I guess, kind of the driving force of that? And then also,
well, with leaving my brother, Mike, it would have had to be a very good situation. With leaving Arizona, I think, the move that I wanted to make was a traditional hire, to go on and be a defensive coordinator in traditional hire. With the situation in Arizona, it's very difficult. I think there's, I've had some opportunities to leave there and be a head coach, but I wanted to do more as a defensive coordinator, and I want to coach at a traditional power, get and play for national championships, and compete for championships year in, year out. And so this was the move that I wanted to do, and I've looked at opportunities, each year from Arizona, whether it be a head coaching job at smaller schools or position jobs in the NFL or coordinating jobs at other schools. And this was a situation where, to me, it was an easy decision. It was hard leaving my brother because of how close I am to him and how close I am to that program, or was to that program. But when it came right down to it, this was an easy decision, something that I wanted to do and very excited about.
Did you start thinking about, like, when Coach Andrews announced his retirement, it kind of spread pretty quickly, obviously, that he was retiring. Did it occur to you then?
You know what? It did. And, you heard that Coach Bowden was retiring, Coach Andrews was retiring, and certainly, it did. It started crossing my mind a little bit, and, I was obviously busy with my preparations
right.
and my job, and, I had a chance to visit with a few people, and, we started talking about this situation, and so then the wheels started spinning a little bit more in my head, and started getting excited about that, and
Here we are.
here we are. Yep. So Coach Fisher and I, our paths crossed a few times back, way back in, I want to say '96 or whatever. The first year I was at South Florida, and just recruiting in South Florida, had a chance to just cross paths with him a bit and visit with him at different schools and just got to know him a little bit. And then, he's been down south. I've been way down south in Miami, and then, all over. I've been, started in Tampa, went out to Wyoming, been to Houston, been a little bit all over. So, hadn't exactly kept in great contact with Coach Fisher, but